Hello, magic makers, and welcome back to the Metaphysical Apothecary. We are your hosts, Megan and Shannon. We are also known as the Scorpio Sisters, and we are here to explore the mysterious, magical, and the arcane.
So in order to engage lucid and or semi-lucid, depending on what you're looking for, dream state, it takes a lot of self-discipline and
Yes.
practice. It's very rare for a person to lucid dream without having experienced it at least once and then wanting to get back into that state.
Why might someone want to induce lucid or semi-lucid dreaming for magical purposes?
Well, if you're doing it for magical purposes, you could actually do any kind of spell work or crafting while in the dream instead of in the waking state.
So it's kind of like creating a temple for yourself on the astral, but it's also in the dreaming state.
Yes. What you can end up doing is that you don't have the materials here in the waking world. They're easily acquired in the dream state, especially when you're lucid dreaming. You lucid dream yourself into a archive library or apothecary setting that is set up the way that you prefer to work, depending on how do you. And I don't have Mandrake, but I need Mandrake for this particular working. And you go to a drawer and say, this drawer is going to have Mandrake. And if you're lucid dreaming, you pull it open and it has Mandrake.
Dreaming can be useful in magical circumstances for either doing workings or for learning about things that you don't have access to in the physical world.
Or to continue learning something that you were learning in the physical world before you fall asleep. And that's what I do. I end up reading a very fascinating book or article or doing whatever research I'm doing. And I know that I have to go to sleep. I'm super tired. I love my sleep. I am not going to jet myself on sleep. But I engage my unconscious, subconscious mind and say, I want to dream of understanding and learning more about this topic that I am researching right now before I go to bed. As I go through my nightly routine and as I'm falling asleep, I will still think I'm going to dream of continuing to learn and understand this topic. And when I fall asleep, I wake up in a classroom setting, and the classroom setting is always different. It's not always a classroom as we know it, in a serene, nature-surrounded area, and I have a teacher in front of me, and I happen to be sitting here as a student learning from them, talking to me and having a conversation as I continue to understand the topic.
Are there others?
There are sometimes others and sometimes not.
The reasons why I have never lucid dreamed, personally for me, I'm going to be honest, it's just not worth it. I enjoy sleeping far too much to try to continue it. And I mean, Shannon, I know you enjoy sleeping as well, but I think our enjoyment is a little bit different.
It's all how we do things,
prefer learning
right?
things in the physical world as much as possible. That's not to say that I wouldn't benefit from lucid dreaming, but I just don't personally have the energy to dedicate to learning how to do it at this point in my life. That may change.
Mm-hmm. I actually stumbled upon this accidentally for high school. So I would fall asleep at my books and still be thinking about wanting to understand and learn about whatever I was studying, and wake up in a semi-lucid state where I was continuing to learn about what I was studying.
To hack the system.
Almost, yeah. Hacking the system would really be like, true. I don't have to learn anything.
Kind of came to you naturally and you enhanced your ability to do it. It makes a lot of sense.
And I do think that it happens naturally for people. And if you are curious about it or feel that it's something that benefited you in the moment it happens, you're going to do it again.
Once you get onto the pattern, it's easier to repeat it.
Yeah. Lucid dreamers, when they come out of it, they can recall their dream perfectly. They don't forget it because it's as if it happened in the waking state. And they're even able to interact with the scientists on the waking state side with eye movements in a certain pattern, letting the people know, hey, I'm dreaming. I know I'm dreaming. I'm lucid dreaming. And then give the same pattern, let them know I'm coming out of that dream. You can communicate
kind of
through
like giving a password.
Yeah. A secret handshake with your eyes.
That's extremely interesting. For those of us who don't lucid dream, there are other ways that you can engage with your dreams and engage with the images that you feel might be significant to you. And the most common way to do this is through journaling. You write down what you can remember, and as you practice this, you're more likely to remember your dreams more often. So if you are interested in lucid dreaming, this might be a good place to start, just by remembering them. So you write down as much detail as you can remember, as plainly and clearly as you possibly can, without trying to interpret it. Just get the imagery down on the paper, or if you don't like describing things in words, you can draw or paint what you remember. Even have a voice recording. Have an app on your phone or a digital recorder next to your bed, and just give all the detail that you can remember whenever you wake up.
Having that journal, especially the journal without the interpretation in it, will end up being significant research for the science that needs to catch up with us actually doing it.
It will.
We've been doing dreams longer than we've been doing science.
Once you have a significant body of dreams written down in your journal, you can begin to interpret them. And Shannon suggested, while we were doing our planning session for this, Shannon suggested taking a separate journal or a separate notebook or sketchbook or whatever you're using, and interpreting any patterns or symbols or relationships or events in that.
Yeah, I'm going to make a confession. I do not dream journal. I have the discipline to do the dreaming. I do not have the discipline to write down the dreams. But when thinking about it from a interpretation for your own personal path and your own personal life, if you have one notebook where you just have the dream, and in a separate, you're writing down the different symbols that have meaning for you, but you won't know those things unless you have it in a separate journal, and then you can start seeing the patterns that come up so that you're making interpretations and associations based on all the patterns, not just that one dream.
You could certainly interpret dreams individually, but if you start remembering your dreams regularly, there will be patterns that come up, just like there are patterns in our behavior, there are patterns in our thoughts, there are patterns in the relationships that we build. Basically, our entire lives are just a series of patterns. So if you are looking to gain some insight into your own psyche, seeing the patterns that appear in your dreams is a really good way to begin that.
Dream interpretation dictionaries are good things to have for reference, but they do differ based off of culture and individual. Your associations are not going to be the same as someone else's associations. It's a great place to launch off from, but it's not necessarily a great place to get your definitive answer from.
It's perfectly okay, and in fact could be preferable to use your personal correspondences for symbols and objects in dreams rather than adhering strictly to what you find in material that's published online or published in physical books. For instance, if you like cats, if cats are a significant part of your magical practice, or you just think that they're amazing, then a black cat in your dream may not mean death and destruction like your dream interpretation manual says.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it might not have anything to do with bad luck. And your culture might have a different perception. So black cats are seen as bad luck here in the United States, but in Europe, they're not.
In Celtic traditions, they're often seen as being good luck. Extremely important when you are interpreting your dreams to trust your own intuition. Think about how you felt during the dream. Think about how seeing those things made you react during the dream. For instance, going back to the cat, I love cats. I think they're fantastic. They're amazing. They're wonderful. But if I see a cat in my dream that really creeps me out and makes me feel fearful, there's something there that is significant that I need to look at a little bit more closely.
Another thing that you might want to do in order to access a more vivid dreamscape or a more interactive, engaging dreamscape is taking care of your pineal gland.
Yes.
That's a physical, practical part of your body that can benefit from you engaging with it and taking care of it, and then it giving you a better sleep cycle, a better sleep, and more vivid, interactive dreams.
The pineal gland is about the size of the tip of your thumb. If you take the first knuckle to the tip of your thumb, it's about that size.
And it's shaped like a pine cone.
And it's mostly liquid. It's filled with liquid. It's surrounded by liquid. It's a very damp little gland in the middle of your brain. It also produces both melatonin and serotonin, dopamine too. So it helps regulate our circadian rhythms through the hormones it produces.
It produces melatonin for sleep, dopamine and serotonin for a waking state daytime. And I say daytime for a reason. It is activated by daylight.
So a healthy pineal gland is essential to truly restful sleep and regulated circadian rhythms.
Our pineal gland has been in this state of calcifying or becoming calcified, which is the solidifying of the liquid that mostly consists of the gland.
Yes.
When it calcifies, your sleep cycles are interrupted.
Mm-hmm. That's not to say that you won't sleep or have good sleep if your pineal gland is calcified, but if you're having trouble sleeping, addressing the gland's health may be a good place to start.
Yeah, part of it is blue light. If you're staring at a screen when you're trying to fall asleep, blue light is activating the waking state for the gland. So won't release melatonin, which relaxes you so you can get into a state of sleep.
Yes. If you read before you go to sleep, try reading a physical book or install a blue light filter on the device that you're using. Lots of apps have blue light filters. I have one on my phone all the time.
Mm-hmm. I do too.
And try to avoid falling asleep to the television.
I know it's hard. I know quite a few people who can't sleep without some kind of ambient noise in the background.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that might be an impossibility, but if you can, it will be really good for your gland.
Yes. And it can replace the television with a different kind of noise in the background, like music, for example. There's a fan for white noise, sleep machines. Apps on your devices can also produce sounds. There are lots of white noise apps for that sort of thing.
And if you absolutely have to hear human voices in order to fall asleep, or you need to fall asleep watching something, a timer on your television would be a good thing, and or watching it on a device and being able to put it down on the side as it charges and allow it to still play as you fall asleep, but you're not looking at it anymore.
Yes. Additionally, on your device, it's easier to install the blue light filter that we discussed. It's much harder to do that on a television. Some of the other things you can do to help your pineal gland are to limit the amount of processed foods you eat. Make sure that you're drinking water that's been relatively well filtered. with filtered water, you don't necessarily want nothing in your water because then the water isn't really going to hydrate you, but you want to make sure that there's nothing in it that's going to harm you, like fluoride, mercury, aluminum, those sorts of things. Things like magnesium and certain salts are perfectly fine. So you can get a water filter.
It's just dreaming and sleeping is actually making sure you have regular healthy habits, especially in regards to brain, the pineal gland, healthy habits, as well as hydrating your body and making sure that you're not eating right before you go to sleep because your digestive system needs time to process, which can cause nightmares.
Exactly. And making sure that the environment in which you're sleeping, as much as possible, is designed for rest and relaxation.
I happen to love doing this. I study astrology, and part of the study of astrology that I find fascinating are your 4th house, your 8th house, and your 12th house. And your 4th house in particular is really important because it also represents your bedroom and how you sleep. So being able to reflect the energies that are sitting in your 4th house, in your bedroom, will give a better, safer, more secure atmosphere to feel comfortable.
What signs are in your 4th house?
My 4th house is ruled by Gemini.
Okay, so symmetry.
No.
Okay.
Not really. What Gemini energy really does well is intellect. So books everywhere.
Okay.
There are books in my bedroom. I sleep in a library.
Mm-hmm. You are a dragon. You are a dragon who hoards books.
Yes. It also likes technology. So there's this need to have easy, accessible information whenever I need it, as I need it. So in order to soothe that, I make sure I have relatively pale milk tone colors on my walls. I try to keep books in my bedroom at all times. And I do have ready access to a reading tablet, if not my cell phone, that I can roll over and open up when I wake up. Instead of getting up out of bed, I have that device handy for me to open it up, give myself that moment of pure curiosity research, and then put it down and roll back over.
In my wife's 4th house, she has Libra, and I have Taurus in my 4th house.
Yes. Megan's wife, Sam, is more likely to look for aesthetically pleasing and things being symmetrical or at least balanced in the bedroom for her to feel comfortable. Megan is going to look for, again, aesthetically pleasing, beautiful, comfortable, luxurious bedroom that has comfy blankets and maybe big fluffy pillows and soft surfaces.
Yes.
It doesn't necessarily need to be symmetrical. It doesn't need to be balanced as long as it makes you happy.
Yes. Sam is generally more concerned about the flow of the room and there not being any dead space than I am.
Yes. Dead space is not balanced.
It's beneficial to me too because dead space offers a place for icky energy to gather. So if there isn't any, there's less likely to be icky energy gathering up in those little corners.
Yeah. You would probably have put something there that was more likely to be like a plant or a tree if you were left to your own devices.
Yeah, there's a particular corner in the bedroom that would have a ficus in it if I was interested in having indoor plants.
Yeah. You look at it and go, okay, that's a good place for this. Mm-hmm. Now, whether or not you would put it there, utterly and completely dependent on how comfortable you are in the moment of realizing that a plant could fit there.
Yes.
If you're super uncomfortable, you're going to go out and get a plant and put it there. If you're comfortable, it's going to stay like that.
Interesting.
And because you do have Sam, you are comfortable. She makes sure you're comfortable.
She does. We try to do that for each other.
So you're not going to find that point of uncomfortability where a ficus pit is necessary.
If she left for any length of time, I would probably get a ficus. Looking into your astrology chart, into your 4th house specifically, can offer a great deal of insight as to what some problem spots might be in your current sleep hygiene and sleep style.
Yes.
One of the things that personally has always worked for me and for other people as well that really helps is putting away your clothes, especially if you've worn them already. If they're clean, maybe not so much, but if you're re-wearing a pair of jeans or a certain sweater because it's not dirty yet, put it away. Have a designated spot for that because clothes give off a lot of energy.
A lot of residue, a lot of odor if it's dirty.
Yeah. If it is dirty enough that you need to wash it, our hamper is actually in the laundry room. So if you can have your dirty clothes not in your bedroom, that might be a good way to go.
Mm-hmm. Those are just thoughts on how to make reaching the dream state easier.
Yes, exactly. Another way you could use your dreaming state magically is to invite certain entities and certain deities into your dreaming mind. You have to be very careful when you're doing this because you cannot unring a bell. So know who you're talking to, know who you're calling, and know that you want them in your mind.
Working with your dreams magically, working with your dreams psychologically, so that way you're studying yourself and understanding your own patterns. All of these things are readily available because we have been dreaming forever.
Yes, humans and most animals have been dreaming forever. Why we do is a mystery, but the fact remains that they may be mysterious, but they're useful.
That's all we have on the topic for today. Thank you so much for listening in, and we hope you'll join us again next time. In the meantime, you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest, and go to our blog for some more witchy wisdom, as well as check out some of our original art on Society 6 for sacred decor and more. Thank you again for joining us, and go make some magic and live your best life. Bye.
Bye, everyone.